Hello, lovely people, and welcome to the very first episode of Deep Blue Labs. If you are into messy workbenches, messy hair, messy German accents, and most important of all, messy projects, search no more, you've come to the right place. My name is Alex, I am a professional audio engineer from Germany, and together with you, I want to explore the wonderful and mysterious world that is analog vintage electronics. Today I have a very interesting piece of history for you. It's a BC-348-R radio receiver. This unit was made in the Second World War and it flew in airplanes from the B-17 Flying Fortress to the B-29 Super Fortress. This unit was probably made in the late stages of the war, probably in maybe 44, 45. I don't think this unit ever flew. But enough with the intro. Let's take a closer look. All right, let's take a closer look at this beauty. And the first thing that is very apparent is that this is not the original casing. Someone, I don't know who owned this previously. The people I bought this off didn't tell me anything about this. They just said they could not test it. It was taking away space, so it needed to go. And I was the lucky one to buy it. And yeah, whoever previously owned and modified this unit, because it's very clearly modified, probably also put this veneer casing on. To be honest, the more I look at it, the more I like it, but I am not too sure because it's very inexpensive wood and it starts cracking at some places here. Maybe it's a little damaged during shipment. Maybe I will take this to the carpenter of my choice and ask for a nice solid wood casing. Maybe this would look this would look very nice on this. So yeah, let's take a quick tour on the front panel to see all of the features and to see the other apparent modifications. Let's start on the left side. We have a beautiful clicky switch for the CW oscillator and a also nice clicky switch for the dial, a nice clicky dial switch for the crystal filter. Let's find out what these do later. We have another beautiful switch for automatic and manual volume control. We have a volume control dial. All of them seem to move very, very nice and smooth, by the way. We have a beat frequency oscillator dial. We'll find out what these do later. And this one does not turn nicely. It's also making some weird noises. I'm not sure if you can hear them. Okay, maybe this works. But yeah, probably this dial will need some love. Here in the middle, we have a pretty massive and heavy to turn dial for the selection of the 6 bands this radio has. So it's a pretty wide range receiver actually. And this dial needed to be this massive because the operators on the plane, the radio operators, they wore thick leather gloves and they had to be able to grip this pretty firmly and turn this. Very nice. The tuning dial itself, it turns very, very smoothly. I'm pretty sure this has been maintained or looked after at some point. The little squeaky noise actually comes from this little plastic thing here, this little cover. And if I hold it, the wheel itself is dead quiet. Here is another modification, probably installed by the previous owner. You can see that this is not the original dial. This is just an American-style chicken head pot that someone installed later next to this also not original BNC socket. I don't know what this is. Maybe this is just another RF input or maybe output or something for calibration. I also read on the internet that a very popular mod for these dial lights, because you don't really need dial lights, you can have the lights on or off as you wish, that another very popular mod is just a tone control, because the receiver can be quite sensitive and can have quite a wide range of input frequencies, so you can really fine-tune the reception with the beat frequency dial here and a tone control here. Yeah, we will find out what this modification does. Maybe it's something really nice. Maybe it's something I really want to keep. Let's find that out. Maybe I will do my own modifications here. One thing that also immediately caught my eye was that someone, probably the ham op who modified this in the first place, they put a little sticker on the dial here that basically says IF 920 kilohertz, and it's written a little weird. I mean, ZF is the German word for it. It's Zwischenfrequenz. The original English term would be intermediate frequency, IF. 920 kilohertz. So yeah, maybe the IF transformer or the IF stage in this radio has been modified, and they put a little sticker on here to remind them. Maybe this is the original IF circuit and they just put it here anyway to remind them for whatever reason. And I am not entirely sure about this one, but I am pretty sure that the original units did not come with this PL connector. Even though this looks pretty original too. I have to do some research. Maybe it's original, but to me, this looks like someone drilled a hole here and replaced the original antenna connector with this PL connector. This is a very, very typical connector in ham radio. So this was probably owned and modified by a ham radio operator at some point. And probably they also installed this veneer casing. My guess is that this unit was never in service. It's just too good looking for it. Maybe this was made in the late stages of the war, maybe in 45, maybe in 44, and was probably just shelved as a replacement unit, was never in service, and then after the war probably got sold. And yeah, landed up in the hands of a ham radio operator. But yeah, maybe if we take this apart later, we can find out some more info about the history of this lovely radio receiver. And last but not least, we have a little antenna tuning dial here in the lower right corner. It also turns pretty, it's pretty stiff. This probably also needs a little bit of love. I'm not entirely sure what the antenna tuning dial does. I assume it just tunes a capacitor or some resonance circuit to match the impedance of the input of the RF input of the receiver to the impedance of the antenna that is connected here. Also, I am not 100% sure what kind of antennas they used in the Second World War. I imagine it's probably some kind of trailing antenna that you could just put behind the plane to fly in the wind, some long wire antenna, or maybe some form of Zeppelin or end-fed antenna. It's basically all a long wire. An end-fed antenna is strung between the fuselage and the back of the plane. Maybe I will look up some pictures of actual airplane antennas from the Second World War and just show them here. Beautiful. All right, I think that's enough of the front of this receiver. Let's turn it around. Let's turn it around and have a look at the back. All right, I turned this radio around. It is pretty heavy, and you can see all the iron and massive components in here. It's just beautiful. It looks, just by the looks of it, I can tell that this was built to last. You have very nice access to all of these tuning screws to align the radio. And who knows, maybe in a future episode I will actually learn to properly align a tube radio receiver, and we will do an alignment together. I don't know. We can see some beautiful transformers in here. I am not entirely sure what is original and what is an aftermarket build. I'm not too sure if this is entirely original or not. Originally, these units were powered with a so-called dynamotor. I will put a picture here to the side, where you basically power a motor that is also a generator that is able to use the onboard aircraft power supply to probably power this radio receiver and a bunch of other equipment. Unfortunately, I do not own the original dynamotor, and I do not need the original dynamotor, even if it would be pretty cool. So as you can see here, at some point this radio got a standard European plug. It's not the most beautiful made plug. Yeah, but it should work for testing. I can push this in just a little bit. Yeah, okay. We will replace this cord at some point, and also replace, you can see this has been a 3-prong cord originally, and one of the prongs has been removed, I assume, to fit into the German or European sockets. And the marking with L and N, live and neutral, this comes from me. I did this just to make sure I plug in the right way. Because usually it doesn't matter with alternating current which way you plug into the socket. Both ways will work. But some of these old units and radio receivers and tube amps and tube radios and everything, they have a capacitor shorting from neutral to the chassis for a bunch of filtering applications. And sometimes when they go bad and when they do short and you put the plug into the socket the wrong way, you can put live voltage on the chassis of this radio and badly shock yourself. So the radio will still work, by the way. You will not notice that you put the plug in the wrong way, but you will notice when you touch the unit. And back then, people just knew that, and they just knew to not mess with electronics, especially not when they're powered on and when there's high voltage. So yeah, maybe this is perfect time for a little disclaimer. Even though I will not open the unit today, maybe we will do this in a later episode. Please always be careful when experimenting with vintage electronics. There is a lot of very, very high voltage present in these things. They can easily go up to 600 or 700 volts in some cases. And yes, they can really, really, really badly hurt you. So please always be careful. I am nowhere near an expert myself, but I am what you call a professional idiot, maybe. I know enough about the field to be careful, even though a lot of the times I'm still learning myself. I did an apprenticeship as an electrician before, so at least I know the basic safety procedures and where to touch and where to wait until you can touch and where to discharge stuff before you touch. So yeah, I will do a lot of mistakes, I can tell you this, but at least I know how to do them somewhat safely. So yeah, please, if you follow along, do so at your own risk. Also, I'm not entirely sure if this is a hole for a screw or if this is actually a banana socket where you can plug in banana cables. I do have one at the moment. Yes, I took one and dropped about 5. Ah, yeah, it is. Interesting. So there's actually another socket here. Yeah. I have no idea what this does. I have to be really, really careful. This could be anything from just an audio output tap to a high voltage output. So I have to be really careful and not just plug this in. All right, I say this is enough of this side for now. Let's spin it around again and test this lovely thing. Okay, from this point on, we're entering handheld mode because my phone was just balancing on a microphone stand and it's just not stable enough to capture this shot well. I did not connect the radio to the power yet. We will save this for the very last step, as it's just generally a good practice to always finish your setup and then only connect the power as a last step. So what do I have here? I just have a standard PL plug, like it's very typical in the ham radio world, and I connected it to this 49-to-1 transformer. and connected this end to a random wire antenna that is strung all across this room. If I have the time to tidy up my workspace, I will show this to you in a future video, but for now, this has to be enough. So, I replaced the original headphone socket with... Jesus, this is tight. Oh. I have a lot of trouble doing this with one hand. Yes, and as you can hear, I connected it to the speaker via this little amplifier. Obviously, these radios did not have any loudspeakers because they were meant to be installed in an airplane, and an airplane, especially in Second World War, is pretty noisy. So the operator... this is just so tight. I can barely do it with one hand because it's a really, really tight mechanical connection. And this is also pretty tight here. So I'm not sure if there's a difference between the sockets, but yeah, as I said, these were installed in airplanes and they were pretty noisy, and the operator, of course, had some nice headsets. And since I do have the original plug, I'm not too sure what to do with this. I might just buy some nice vintage cloth cable and connect a nice pair of headphones to this, so I have a modern but somewhat original looking and feeling headphone set for this radio receiver. Maybe this could also be a nice future episode. But for now, this will have to do. So in the next shot, I will try to connect this to the power and then we see if this works or if it just blows up. Hopefully not. So I connected the ground back to the radio, and now there's nothing left to do except slowly turning up the voltage. I have to be pretty exact here, as the marking where it says 220 is actually 230. Maybe this is an older model. I already measured the voltage there. So let's do exactly 230. And as we can see, the dial lights already came on, and we're not getting shocked by touching anything metal. And the fuse is still holding up, so let's turn it on. Maybe we should turn on, yes, since we're on 40 meter, let's turn on the crystal oscillator first. I have no idea how loud this is going to be. But yeah, let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, and it's not very loud. I can increase the volume. Okay. Yeah, let's go a little through the bands and see whether we can receive something. I'm in the 40 meter band, so I should be able to receive some CW. If this radio is aligned and if this dial is correct. Oh, yes. We can use the antenna tuning dial to, I believe, tune for maximum volume, which should mean best impedance matching. Maybe try the crystal filter. Not entirely sure if it works, but it does something. And we're receiving some CW. Okay, if I connect the antenna without the transformer, I get a much stronger signal, but is it a better signal? Maybe retune? Okay. So, since we were not able to receive that much on the 40 meter band, I switched to the 20 meter band. Maybe we're lucky there. This is probably just random noise. Oh yes. That's some nice CW. Let's try without the filter. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure how helpful the filter is in this case. But it very slightly shifts our BFO frequency. Or maybe it's the operator. Or maybe the receiver is shifting slightly. But otherwise, this is great. I can't believe that this works. After, I don't know, 80 years, and I don't know how many modifications. Yeah, let's look for a different station. Yeah, it goes pretty loud as well. This is on automatic volume control right now. Let's try manual. Yeah, so we leave that on automatic. Let's try this with the filter. It gets louder, but it doesn't really get clearer. And since we seem to receive so well on 20 meters, let's check SSB on 20 meters. I have a very, very interesting future video idea on single sideband modulation that I will do in the future, because you can do some beautiful, crazy psychedelic music with single sideband modulation. But yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves, and I will talk about this in a future video. As for now, let's check voice transmissions on 20 meter. This is probably FT8, if I'm not mistaken, which is a digital mode. But we're interested in analog stuff, of course.
Hi, Rob. You're 5 and 7, QSL.
We cannot hear the other station.
All the best, thank you, and very Merry Christmas if we don't hear each other. Thank you, Stan. Back to net.
Temperature is 8 degrees C, so it's good day for playing on the radio, Roger.
Let's see what the crystal filter does here. Let's try out AM. So to try AM, If you want, please let me know in the comments if you want me to explain more about the modes and what exactly a beat frequency oscillator is and what a CW oscillator is. We can find this out together. I know enough about these things to be able to operate them, but I do not know enough of these things to be able to modify or repair them. So I really would love to have a reason to put this thing, to take this thing apart and to learn more about the circuits and how to repair, restore, or modify these vintage receivers. Yeah, for now let's try AM, so we don't need the oscillator. Maybe there are some active on 40 meters. I have not tried today. There are none. So as I said, reception can be quite poor, especially in the middle of the day, in the middle of a big city. So I will try again this evening. Maybe we are able to receive some more interesting stuff there. So, welcome back. It's not only night by now, it's actually several days later, because, yeah, of course. Here's the radio. Here's a little recording setup that just takes the output of the radio. I will put on some cozy headphones and, yeah, let's see what we can receive.
Ha dominado de bonsenso la institución sobre Roma con todo. Confucianismo del mal acepta la taoísma noción que virtud es preesco instinta que siempre pensar algo en bonulo. Confucianismo consente pri la desiro de la regista scolo conservi tradición que conducti la convena lido que precedenzo.
Oblacích v 57. patře, která je stále velmi pozoruhodná. Využijte šanci a odškrtněte si tuto položku na svém seznamu všechno, co chcete v životě udělat.
Însoțitorii minorilor, alții decât părinții sau nu mai sunt obligați să prezinte certificatul de cazier judiciar în format fizic, acesta putând fi consultat electronic de către polițistul de frontieră. Dacă polițistul de frontieră constată că însoțitorul minorului a săvârșit anumite acestuia nu îi se va permite ieșirea din țară cu minorul.
Informații în tema emisiunea de astăzi, magazinul Radio România Internațional. Mudaia Sandoi, Avelinoi and Jiangyong de la province of Hunan, KGI.
CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.
Radio Międzynarodowe. Mówi Pekin. Tu chiński
Polskie Radio Międzynarodowe. Serdecznie zapraszamy do wysłuchania audycji poświęconej chińskiej tradycyjnej muzyce. Chiński pop music.
It's finished for me. Now I'm here 90 meters. Copy.
I don't move because I like. This is my favor, Roger.
Yeah, is it every day you hear Germany and Belgium? You hear it every day when you are on 80 meter, or it's only a few times a year, or it's exceptional? So I would like today. I think I just checked my logbook, and today is the first time I hear Greece, so I don't know why. Maybe all the other days of the year, Greece is not coming through, so no propagation. I don't know, over.
Yeah. You know what's happening? What is the politics here? Somebody is amateur. He say the security from the young people. That's some old men say that.
Yeah, QSL, yeah. It's just something I'm wondering, because why I not hear Greece every day if the propagation is open every day and you're on here every day, so I think it's rather exceptional. Anyway, just on the other side of things, I'm using the Hermes Light number 2 radio, and around about 800 watts, and as I told you, the antenna is a sloping down dipole there. I'll pass microphone first to you there, Spiros. Sugar Victor 2, India Golf, Quebec in the group with Oscar November 7, Oscar Fox, over.
Okay, thank you very much from this communication on 80 meters. I wish you a happy holiday there, Merry Christmas to you, and Happy New Year.
Die Koreaner noch vor Hongkong auf dem 2. Platz. Laut einem Bericht des Herstellers Garmin für smarte Geräte wie Fitnessuhren belief sich die durchschnittliche tägliche Schrittzahl der Koreaner in diesem Jahr auf 9.969 und Südkorea belegte damit nach Hongkong den 2. Platz. Hören Sie nun Korea hautnah, heute über eine Fotoausstellung mit Bildern zu den Werken des Architekten Kim Jung-op.
Mais après, rien de prévu à moyen et long terme. On prendra ça comme ça vient. Voilà, allez Patrick, salut, bonne soirée. Également, mes amitiés aux écouteurs, F5JMI 84, F5JRC02, salut.
Ich
you know you have property rights or ownership rights. All these laws, they're just killing it. It's just crazy.
It's just crazy, Dave. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but...
Kötü bir anlama tekabül ediyormuşmuş. Çünkü Almanya büyük bir Yugoslavya'yı da içinde barındırıyor. Romanya'yı da her yerde içinde barındırıyor. O taraflarda daha doğrusu yani şeye doğru, doğuya doğru gittikçe o kötü bir anlam
Weather conditions not great tonight. It's raining quite heavy and quite windy as well, and about 5 degrees Celsius.
Alright, as you can hear, it's quite challenging to receive some interesting stuff in the middle of the city. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching. If I receive something interesting, I definitely will upload a short or a longer video. I will let you know, I will keep you updated. Thank you very much for watching the first episode of Deep Blue Labs. See you next time. Ciao!